to part 10 of the RazorwireReviews Bat-a-thon. And this is the continuation of the compendium of animated movie reviews, the Batman animated movie reviews, and these are all going to be, if I can get this right, the DC Universe animated original movies. That's what they're called. Basically they're animated movies that DC put out straight to video, or straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray. They've been doing this since around 2008 now. They do a couple of films a year, and they're awesome. They're great. I'm really glad that I got into them. And there's a lot that feature Batman, and I thought maybe I'll just do the Batman ones, but then I thought, oh, I'll do those ones as well, and I ended up doing all of them. So 8 films to talk about in this Volume 2 of Batman the Animated Movies. The only one I own is Batman Gotham Knight here, and I'll talk about that last because I'll be talking about the Blu-ray very briefly. First, let's start with the Superman Batman films. There's 2 of these. The first one was released in 2009, I believe, and it is Superman Batman Public Enemies. The storyline in this one is Lex Luthor is the President of America, and he's hired superheroes to kind of restore order to the world, basically. Only Batman and Superman have been left out of this. So, basically how they come into it is that Lex Luthor tries to set them up, and he basically has this guy, Metallo, I think, the superhero called Metallo, or supervillain, and he kind of puts them against Batman and Superman and frame them, so they become the public enemies, basically. And then they encounter these other superheroes who work for Lex Luthor, and they try and convince him that they're, you know, on the wrong side and everything. And also another thing that's running through the theme of this one is there's an asteroid, about on a collision course with Earth, and it's from Krypton. It's an asteroid made of kryptonite. And Lex Luthor's, he's fine, he's sorted this out, and he knows how to stop it. So when it comes to stopping this asteroid, Lex Luthor, he fires all these missiles and he just doesn't do anything. And Luthor's like, shit, what am I going to do now? And then suddenly, all of a sudden, Lex Luthor's like, actually no, this is fine, because if the meteorite does hit Earth, then most of it will be destroyed, and then I'll be like the new king of the world kind of thing. Which I thought was a bit weird. I mean, obviously he's evil, but he planned to get rid of the asteroid, and then when he's not able to, suddenly he's like, oh yeah, that's for the best. Why couldn't they just had it that was his plan all along? If he was going to do something as evil as that, it just seemed like a bit of a weird twist, you know, where it's like, oh shit, okay, I'll be even more evil then instead, you know. Batman is voiced by Kevin Conroy, which is awesome. The guy who voiced him through most of the, or for all of the animated series and most of the animated movies that I covered in Volume 1. Tim Daly, Superman, again reprising his role from the Superman animated series. Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor again. So that was really cool, and I enjoyed the relationship between Batman and Superman. Though I did, even though this is kind of a more adult kind of story and stuff that they're allowed to get away with more because it's direct-to-video, I still preferred the Batman Superman movie from the Superman animated series that I covered in Volume 1. It was good, you know, but it wasn't amazing. The next one is Superman Batman Apocalypse, which came out in 2010. And this one is kind of misleading because you think, oh, it's the end of the world, but it isn't really. It's about this weird planet called Apocalypse, where there's this weird supervillain called Darkseid. And at the beginning of the film, this asteroid, I guess, crashes in Gotham Harbor, and Batman's trying to investigate. And it turns out there's this girl there, and she's flying all over the place and speaking a weird language, and Batman's like, what the hell's going on here? And then Superman turns up in Gotham, and it turns out it's Superman's cousin, this girl, and she's voiced by Glau, who was in Firefly, Serenity, many other things. And yeah, so basically she learns English in a week, and she's basically you know, the cousin of Superman. What I liked about this is that she always called Superman Kal-El, which is his real name, so that was kind of cool and different. But it just seemed a bit like her cousin, you know, his cousin. And then, you know, Batman and Wonder Woman, they actually conspire against Superman because he's kind of trying to get her to be like, you know, like a normal girl in Metropolis, and it's not really working out. So Wonder Woman and Batman are right, she's coming to Wonder Woman and the Amazons, and they're gonna, you know, shape her up and stuff. And Batman's still a bit suspicious of this girl. He's not quite 100% convinced by her. So, and this Darkseid guy, he wants this, you know, Superman's cousin. He wants her to be on his, like, you know, super evil team of evil people on his apocalypse planet. You know, it's a bit like out there for me, but you know, it's kind of enjoyable. But then the whole like 15 minutes at the end of the film, there's some really cool fight scenes, and I really started to like the Darkseid character. He's pretty badass, but it just felt like Batman wasn't really involved in this that much. I don't know why they called it another Superman Batman film, though it does continue. It's basically a sequel to Public Enemies, which I liked, because every other film I've watched in the DC universe, animated original movies, none of them basically are sequels. They don't really follow one another, but these two did, the Superman Batman series, but it just seemed like Batman wasn't in it that much, and again, the last 15 minutes he's not really involved, so it was just kind of like, yeah, you know. That one wasn't so great, wouldn't recommend that really, but it was enjoyable enough, it held my attention. Next up is Justice League, the Justice League films. Justice League The New Frontier is the first one. I believe it came out in 2008, I may be wrong. I think it is. Anyway. And this one is about the origins of the Justice League. And again, I knew nothing about the Justice League, and you probably can see most of them here on this poster. And it's set in the 50s, I think, the 50s and 60s. And we first see the Martian Manhunter, John Jones. And that was interesting, because I didn't know about that character at all. I really grew to like him over these films. Again, they're not connected, but this one, The New Frontier, is about them forming, and you kind of see like you see Wonder Woman and Superman interacting, and then, you know, Batman's introduced into the mix. And John Jones, he's basically a Martian. He comes down to Earth, and he takes on the role of like a kind of film noir detective, because he watches a film noir on TV and thinks, I'm going to look like that, and he becomes a detective in Gotham for a couple of years. I thought that was cool. Flash, the Flash is actually, he's already the Flash as soon as we see him. He's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, which is really cool. Not sure who voiced Batman in this one. I don't think it was Kevin Conroy, no it wasn't. Yeah, it was cool to see Neil Patrick Harris voice someone, because I'm a big fan of him, and How I Met Your Mother and everything. I'm trying to think if there's any other cool voice actors in this, I'm not sure. Tim Daly wasn't Superman again. Anyway, who else is there? We got Flash, the Green Lantern. That's right, he's Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. He's kind of one of the main characters in this, and he becomes the Green Lantern throughout the course of the film. And the main kind of threat is the Center, which is this thing that keeps, just an entity known as the Center that keeps possessing people and making them do things like Captain Cold gets possessed to take out the Flash and all that kind of stuff. Well, not specifically, but anyway, the Flash turns up. Yeah, we just see like Hal Jordan become the Green Lantern, and that story kind of is in there. John Jones, and you see all these superheroes, and they're fighting against this thing, the Center, and it turns out at the end it's kind of like Independence Day. It reminded me of, it was like a big block of Earth, a bit like the big ship in Independence Day, and these aliens flying around everywhere, and it's a bit like, whoa, what the hell's going on? I enjoyed the theme of it though. There was a great opening sequence of like a man narrating like the beginning of Earth, kind of, and then it ends with the Center, and then the last part of the film you basically understand that the Justice League is formed at the end of the film, and there's like a really cool kind of nice kind of graphic art stuff going on at the end, and the final shot is like a really cool shot of Justice League of America, so that was really cool. I like that. It wasn't great overall, didn't blow me away, but like I liked the idea of it. The beginning was great, the end was great, and there was some good stuff in the middle as well. The next one, I'm not sure when this was released, it doesn't really matter I guess, was Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. I believe, actually, yeah, it was 2010, this one. They're 2 years apart, the Justice League film. Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. This is a weird one. This is about alternate universes. And again, this isn't a direct sequel to The New Frontier. And yeah, so basically, the film opens and you see Lex Luthor as a hero, along with the Joker, who's also a hero, but he's called the Jester, and he's got like a Jester thing on, like Harley Quinn. So it's an alternate universe where the Justice League are called the Crime Syndicate, and they're evil. And like, instead of Superman, you got Ultraman. Instead of Batman, you got Owlman. And instead of Wonder Woman, you got Superwoman and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and then Lex Luthor comes to the Justice League reality, and then you find out that there's like all these different like dimensions and stuff, and they go over to help Lex Luthor, even though Batman's a bit skeptic. In fact, Batman doesn't go, and I like that about it. He wasn't voiced by Kevin Conroy again, and I really didn't like the voice actor for Superman in this one. I don't know why, I just didn't really like him. He didn't fit Superman, and it just wasn't that good. The best part of this film was what's called Owlman, Batman's alternate kind of persona. He was voiced by James Woods, which was awesome, and he didn't sound like James Woods, which I liked, and he brought a real kind of cool quality to the role of Owlman, and he was kind of like the main kind of centerpiece villain in the film, and he basically wanted to find out which Earth was like the first Earth that all the other Earth dimensions sprouted from, and he wants to destroy that to just destroy like existence. So like it's a bit of an out there plan, but it's like a real cool super plan, and he's just like a cool character. So we see all these like opposite villains fighting each other and stuff. The ending was really cool, big showdown between Batman and Owlman. I really like that, and I did read up on it, and apparently the reason for having an Owlman is because owls hunt bats. I thought that was cool as well. So yeah, and it was a cool ending and stuff. We also got to see the Justice League's headquarters, which is like a space station above Earth, and that was in the next Justice League film, even though it's not a sequel again. So I guess that must have been in the comics, like their headquarters on a space station. So yeah, I like that one. Again, Crisis on Two Earths, but you know, didn't blow me away. Again, just enjoyable, and I loved Owlman, and that was really cool. And Batman was involved in it a lot more. Whew, talking a lot. The next one is Justice League Doom, and that came out this year, very recent. Wow, this film is awesome. I absolutely loved it. Blew me away. I was not expecting it at all. In this film, there's Justice League under attack. Now there's this guy, I forget his name, something Savage or something. He's the main villain of the film, and he's been around for like 80,000 years. He's immortal, and they get like a cool little like minute clip of his origins. I like that when they don't fuck around. They're just like, right, okay, this is where the character's from. Done. You know, they didn't go into it too much. They just concisely summed it up, and you need to with these films because they're like 75 minutes long at best. They don't go much longer than that, so they do have to cram in a lot. So yeah, this guy's been around for like thousands of years. He's immortal. This meteorite hit the Earth when he was a caveman, and it was warm. So he went to it, and it kind of, when he woke up, he felt intelligent and immortal as far as he was concerned. He hires in these 5 supervillains to take out the Justice League. He's going to give them $100 million each to take out one member of the Justice League each, and each of them have like a personal vendetta with that Justice League member. So there's Cheetah, who wants to kill Wonder Woman. There's Bane, who wants to kill Batman. Metallo, who wants to kill Superman. And there's this woman, I forget her name, Star Sapphire I think she's called, and she wants to kill Green Lantern. And apparently there was some history between them, which I don't know about, but it was, you know, they summed it up in the film pretty quickly. And then there's Mirror Man, who wants to take out the Flash. I'm not sure about. There was someone who wanted to take out John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, as well, but I think he got killed early on. Anyway, so I think, I'm not sure actually. No, I think that was a different film. See, watching all these films. Anyway, so there's people who've got like their own specific agendas. They're getting paid 100 million. They're going to kill the Justice League, and there's just this great build up to it. And like, you see all these specific plans to like take out the Justice League that are like tailor made to them. You know, like Batman. Bruce Wayne. He's sitting in Wayne Manor, and Alfred comes up and he's got, "I've got some horrible news, sir." And Bruce runs out to the graveyard, and his parents' graves have been exhumed, and his parents' bodies are gone. I just thought, wow, that was just like really like out there, and just like, wow, that's harsh. And then Bane's there, and he just beats the crap out of Batman, and it was just like really well done. And then with Superman, there's a guy on top of the Daly planet who's going to kill himself, and Superman's like, come on, I can help you. And then it turns out it's not really a man, it's Metallo, and he shoots him with a kryptonite bullet, and then he opens his chest because he's a robot, and he's got like a kryptonite heart which just like kills Superman almost, and Superman's falling down slow motion, and then it just keeps cutting to all these people getting like taken down. You know, the Martian Manhunter, and he gets set on fire, and like it's infinite. The Flash has got a bomb on his wrist, and he can't stop running, otherwise he'll die. Wonder Woman is fighting an endless amount of cheaters, and who else is there? Someone important. Green Lantern. He goes into this mine, and there's this whole like mind thing going on, and it really just like makes him choose to not be the Green Lantern anymore. It fucks with his mind that much. Something that's great about this film, even more so than the storyline. Kevin Conroy is in this as Batman for the first time in a Justice League film. Tim Daly, Superman, already awesome. And then you've got Nathan Fillion, who's playing the Green Lantern. I love Nathan Fillion. He's the you know, the main character in Firefly, Serenity. I love him. He's a great actor, and he really brought the Green Lantern to life. He just gave him a real kind of funny kind of you know, personality, I guess. He really does comedy very well, like the comedic timing, and he brought that really, really well to the Green Lantern. So I just enjoyed this film so much more because of the voice actors. And yeah, and the whole kind of like end of the film as well was just really well done. And then basically the Justice League find out the reason all these supervillains had such good plans to take them out was because they stole it from Batman's computer, and Batman had these plans to take down all of the Justice League. And they're like, well, what the hell's going on? And Batman's like, well, what if one of you, you know, went evil? You know, there has to be a plan. And then they're like, well, do we want Batman in the Justice League anymore? And that's the end of the film. And it was done so well. I just absolutely loved it. Easily, well, one of my favourite Batman moments ever is the end of Justice League Doom. Loved it. Awesome. And all the more better for Kevin Conroy playing him in that film. So there we go. Justice League films. I liked them. I loved the last one. And was surprised at how good they were. Now we go on to just the Batman ones. And chronologically, if we're going to just the single Batman films, we go to Gotham Knight, but I'm going to leave that. So the next one is Batman Under the Red Hood. Now this one is, how do I say, awesome. Absolutely brilliant. In fact, I just watched this. I left it till last because I heard it was great, and it did not fail to deliver. The story in this one, the film opens with the Joker, and he's, you know, I don't want to spoil things with people, I guess I already have with all the previous films, but the film opens with Joker, and he's torturing Jason Todd, the second Robin, and you know, and he blows the building up, and Batman just about to save him, but he doesn't. So it's like, wow, okay, that's fucked up. And this film's really dark, like it really pushes it in terms of violence and just the themes and stuff. Really, really like that as well. So what's great about these DC Universe animated original movies, such a mouthful that they call it. That's a good thing about them, is that, you know, straight to DVD, so they've got a lot more leeway to be more dark and more adult, and so on. And that was showcased a lot in Under the Red Hood. And then we move forward 5 years, and Nightwing turns up, the original Robin, Dick Grayson. He's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, which is really cool. And then this character called the Red Hood pops up, voiced by Jensen Ackles, who's Dean in Supernatural. He was really good as well. I enjoyed him a lot in this, actually, especially towards the end. Really good acting, voice acting. Kevin Conroy is Batman. Great. No, he's not actually. He's not. No, yeah, no, he was in Gotham Knight. In this one, it was a guy called Bruce Greenwood, I want to say. I think that's who voiced him in this one. And the Joker is not voiced by Mark Hamill, unfortunately, but was voiced by John DiMaggio, who did a very good job. But we would like to see Mark Hamill in there, because, you know, Mark Hamill is the Joker. He's awesome. Yeah, so the story is just great, you know, and it's like, who's the Red Hood and all that kind of stuff. A lot of detective stuff from Batman, and there's my mum laughing in the background again, probably because I mentioned Joker. And yeah, a lot of great Batman detective stuff. Nightwing gets involved. Neil Patrick Harris is really funny as Nightwing. Really enjoyed his character. And Red Hood's a really cool character too. Like he's always like up in a building with like a precision kind of, just almost a bit like Deadshot in a way. And there's another guy in there called Black Mask, who's got this black kind of skull face. I don't know if it's like an actual mask or what. It's really weird. Never seen him before. I'm sure he's probably a big character in the comic books, but I wouldn't know. He's kind of like a crime boss. He doesn't really get his hands dirty that much, and well, he doesn't at all in the film. And there's a lot of like gang stuff going on. It's a great storyline. But the highlight for me was the last 10 minutes, the last 10-15 minutes. Just awesome stuff. It really goes deep into like Batman's morality and his, you know, just the psychology of Batman. And, you know, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't, but just the last 10-15 minutes, and the Joker's involved as well. It's just awesome. There's some great fight scenes, really like harsh stuff as well, like proper like chipping someone's face off of a sink kind of stuff, literally. Absolutely love this one. This is probably my favourite standalone Batman animated film so far. Just tips Mask of the Phantasm, and yeah, and probably Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. Those are the three I think are probably the best standalone Batman animated movies, and Justice League Doom is right up there, even though it's not a Batman film, but a lot of it is about him. Okay, so there we go, Batman Under the Red Hood. The next one, man, this is 19 minutes and counting. I knew this was going to be a long one, and I'm sure no one's even watching this. No one's commented on the volume 1 yet, but what the hell, I'm doing it. The next one is Batman Year One, which is great as well. This is a Frank Miller graphic novel that was being adapted, and it's quite short. It's only an hour long. There's no Kevin Conroy, none of that. It's a new guy, I forget his name. Bryan Cranston plays Commissioner Gordon, who plays a very big part in this. And I was surprised at how much of a badass he was in this film. In fact, I enjoyed how much of a badass Commissioner Gordon was in this film. Although it kind of deals with him and his kind of relationship with his wife and stuff, and it goes a bit into that. But it also kind of just shows like the first year of Batman, and that's what it is, year one. And you see him kind of, you know, develop Batman and all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool, really well done. The animation's great. The animation's great in all of these, really. It's almost like a kind of a half Japanese kind of stuff. Maybe it is kind of just full Japanese style, I don't know, but that's the way it seems to me, a lot more than the other ones. But I just love the art style in most of these films, and this one especially, it stood out a lot. And Under the Red Hood, I think that one was graphically and just artistically awesome. Year one's great, but you know, it's an hour long, and I don't know, it wasn't like the best thing ever, you know, but I did enjoy it a lot. I'd probably stick it up there in maybe the top 5 Batman animated movies, at least the top 6. It was very good, enjoyed it a lot, and I'm just trying to keep it a bit more concise now as we move into the last film. Now, there are a few more Batman animated movies, I believe. I know there's Batman vs. Dracula, set in the continuity of the Batman animated series. And I think there's one like Batman meets Scooby-Doo or something like that. So I'm just going to leave those for now. I think overall I've done 8 and 5. I think I've done 13 animated movies in the past week. That's a lot. So I think I'm going to... They're the main ones. I covered the main ones. And this is the first one that was released as a DC Universe animated original movie. Batman Gotham Knight on Blu-ray. This is the only Blu-ray of these films available in the UK, which sucks. And I'm going to have to try and get them from America at some point in the distant future, because I really want to get these on Blu-ray. This was made kind of to tie in to The Dark Knight, and it's kind of set between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but it's not really related that much. I think they just kind of said it was, I don't know, like obviously they wanted to sell this before The Dark Knight came out and stuff like that, but otherwise this is an anthology film, so it's like about 5 or 6 short films, and they're kind of connected. Some of them are connected. There's like 1 or 2 that aren't really, you know, and you know, there's appearances from Scarecrow and Killer Croc in the sewer. That was a cool short, that one. Deadshot is involved as well. That was a really cool one. They're kind of different styles a little as well. The first one was pretty cool. It's basically these kind of kids just hanging around in Gotham City, and they're like, oh, you won't believe this, I saw the Batman today. And then you hear about the Batman being this kind of like phantom, like a ghost that kind of just appears and reappears like, you know, like smoke. And then the other kids say, no, but I saw Batman today. And then you hear about this big robot Batman. So kids kind of exaggerating this one story, and that was pretty cool and inventive. We see Batman, like how he learned to not feel pain and stuff. There's a scene where he's crawling up from the sewer after facing Scarecrow and Killer Croc, and we just see the flashback of when he was in Japan, I think, or something like that, and he's just like how he learned to control pain and not feel it and stuff, or not make himself feel it. And after the thing in the sewer, like Commissioner Gordon's like, do you want to lift him a helicopter? And he's like, no, I'll get up myself. Overall, it's really good, but it's, you know, they're different short films. It breaks it up a bit, and it's kind of hard, not hard to follow, but just hard to get into, you know, over, how long is it? 76 minutes. Definitely one worth checking out, though. It's very cool, very nice artistically, and just it looks great and stuff, especially on Blu-ray. Special features for this. We have a revealing documentary, Batman and Me, the Bob Kane story. This is about a 40-minute documentary on Bob Kane, the creator of Batman. It's an awesome watch, definitely, almost worth getting the Blu-ray alone. I mean, I bought this for like £3. It was, you know, a steal. It's worth getting for the documentary alone. You get to see all about the life of Bob Kane, who created Bob Kane, who created Batman. And you see how like enthusiastic he was about creating Batman. Like he'd say, "Hi, I'm Bob Kane, creator of Batman," and he would just be like, you know, "Hey, let's talk about Batman." There's actually news clips of him on a talk show saying, "Okay, let's talk about Batman. Come on, you know, I'm the creator of Batman." You see him turn up at the 1989 premiere of Batman with a big bat cape on his suit and stuff, and he loved it. And that's great to see, and you see how he was a real poor kid who just wanted to get famous and get rich, and he did. And so he's not ashamed to say that he's, you know, the creator of Batman. Some great interviews with people who made the animated series and were involved in the comics. Writer of the comics, Mark Hamill, who plays the Joker in many of the animated series, as I've mentioned many times. He talks about Bob Kane because he knew Bob Kane as well. And we see pictures and an interview from his wife talking about him. So really, really good, really worth watching that one. The other one is A Mirror for the Bat, a featurette exploring Batman and the evil denizens of Gotham City. Kind of like a 40-minute documentary about all the Batman villains, but it's not like villains on film, it's just like the villains from the comics. So we get like a well, not detail, but like, you know, a few minutes on each villain, like every single villain. You actually realise how many great villains there are in the Batman mythos, and it really just shows like images from the comics, really informative and just a great watch for a Batman fan. Then we have a commentary by the DC Comics Senior Vice President and Creative Affairs Gregory Novak and former Batman editor Dennis O'Neil, and the voice of Batman Kevin Conroy. This is very interesting, mainly for Kevin Conroy. Like the Senior Vice President of DC Comics is kind of like, well, I guess it is interesting, but I rather would have heard from the director and Kevin Conroy, although you can't actually because it's 6 different directors. As it says here, 6 interlocking stories, 6 acclaimed directors, and 1 ground-breaking masterpiece. I wouldn't call it that, not by a long shot, but anyway. We get a sneak peek at DC Universe's Wonder Woman. It's like a 10-minute featurette. And you just hear from all the people who are in the Wonder Woman film, like Nathan Fillion, Rosario Dawson, Virginia Madsen, quite a lot of big name actors, and there are a lot of big name actors in these DC films. And then Bruce Timm presents 4 bonus Batman the Animated Series episodes, which is very cool. Only there is that standard definition along with most of the special features, which is a shame when you get the episodes I Am the Knight, Legends of the Dark Knight, and Over the Edge. Oh, and Heart of Ice. I only watched Heart of Ice because I listened to a podcast recently with Paul Dini, Kevin Smith, Fat Man on Batman podcast. Him and Paul Dini were talking, and Paul Dini wrote that episode. He wrote many of the episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and he was telling the story of Heart of Ice, and he actually started getting emotional. So I thought, oh, I'll see what that one's about. And it was a very well done episode of the series, and the first one I've actually properly watched. I'll watch the others at some point, but I'm planning on actually getting the whole series and just watching it in a one big marathon viewing. But I won't be talking about it in this Bat-a-thon. No way, because we're nearly done with this now. Batman Gotham Knight. There we go, 13 animated movies. Around about 18 movies overall so far. This is the 10th part, this 10th installment. I believe there was 1 extra episode. So that's 9 weeks we've been doing this now. I've been doing this now, so well over 2 months of this. You know, this whole Bat-a-thon, talking about Batman, talking about the Blu-rays. We're getting there. Next Monday, we're going to be talking about Batman and Robin. I mean, Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, the 1949 serial. Good, okay. Not the bad Batman and Robin. The good Batman and Robin. Or is it good? I don't know. I've watched a few episodes of it already, and I'm kind of thinking... So we'll be talking about the second movie serial of the 40s. I of course talked about Batman the movie serial from 1943 in part 5 of this Bat-a-thon. So part 11 will be the second and last movie serial from 1949. And then the week after that we'll be talking about Batman Begins. The week after that we'll be talking about The Dark Knight, and the week after that we'll be reviewing The Dark Knight Rises. Oh yes, it's coming. I've planned this out well. And I'll probably have maybe an extra episode, extra installment, extra part before Dark Knight Rises, talking about my favourite Batman villains on screen, who's, or, you know, animated movies, live action films, and so on. And then after this is all done, I'll be doing a big, well, not a big episode, but I'll be doing a part that talks about all the films in order. I'm going to rank them all. I haven't rated these films so far. I'm going to rank them all right at the end after The Dark Knight Rises, including that film. I'm going to rank all of them films in order, and I'm going to rank the best Batmans in order. So this is going to be really cool, I hope. Thank you for watching this if you have. I mean, this is, what, 28 minutes now, along with the intro I'm going to make, so this is almost a half-hour episode. I think maybe the Dark Knight Rises review might be even longer than this. I hope not, though. If you've watched this, thank you. Thank you for sticking with this episode. Thank you for sticking with all the other parts and installments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Watch all the other installments. They're in a link down here if you haven't seen any of them. They're a lot shorter than this one, a lot more easier to manage. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel, as always. Next Monday, Batman and Robin. See you then.